Some of the difficulty with psychological cognition in pediatric medicine has been singing in a band called Shake, Dance, and Rock and Roll with some children I babysat and nannied for, and not always being able to whisper and talk really low, similar to a kindergarten classroom during quiet time. In a technologically advanced city with Microsoft, Facebook, Google, and the University of Washington Medical Center and research facilities where they're trying to cure cancer and they're trying to make artificial intelligence and robots available for public use now. On Capitol Hill in Seattle, in Washington State, the risk and the reward in world are heard as stimulation and ego. And in fact, and indeed, the tall man and his veteran friend from Vietnam, who use a self and an ego to tell a brain on another human's skull inside a body they ignore to calm an emotion they learned about in their AA meeting, where they got a coin signifying their prestige and accomplishment, eliminating a source of distress for their self, causing their ego to buy prostitutes and fall asleep with cigarettes and booze and not dream with a full stomach and belly stuffed full of fruits and vegetables and proteins and coffee, cold brewed in a cup. To have time, attention, awareness, help them, those who need a self and an ego they see, to do what they want with their hands, pleading from God's book of Jesus and their cult literature, needing to stop and shut up, calm, and be quiet and silent. For them to not crave and for them to not want a drug dealer downtown and a gangster thug to deliver their heroin and fentanyl in a bag with some weed and marijuana, for them to not get bored during their hallucination. Now, pediatric cancer patients within psychological cognition at risk of a drug addict in world who wants to start where the baby growing strong begins and be childish and careless and needs small, tiny, minuscule, minimal amounts of energy and food and calories. to have a consciousness with stimulation and hallucination. Alongside children who are playing with toys. Using a tablet to begin coding for an algorithm to assist their father and their family with climate change engineering. Watching, observing, listening and hearing every footstep, every letter, every language, every ethnic dialect, every noise. And doing what Jung said with shadows. And imitating posture. Now, pedophiles and perverts who have decided to be an addict and recover as a soldier warrior of other folks, other humans, other people's emotions, decisions, and choices. Are where violence begins. And discrimination intensifies. Silencing and quieting a college applicant to medical school. Recording a video for an application to pediatric medicine and residency at Valley Children's Hospital in California, who was too loud in a kitchen when they moved in to the apartment building with studios where they rent a room in a house and attend a meeting every so often, and are taller and look and stare farther, faster, harder, and stronger and more forceful. Than a person who wants to be a neurosurgeon with scars from assaults, broken fingers from their misdirection and confusion and hallucinatory whispers and voices they call art and necessary for peace and love now. There's mostly a risk for children with psychological cognition in foster homes, being taken care of by grandparents, by friends and relatives. However, families with parents have choices available, options described, and security and safety provided from businesses such as Microsoft and Google, Amazon, and animal breeders with German shepherds who will eat the man's hand who puts his fingers on a little girl's shoulder or a boy's arm to provide some stimulation for their emotional negativity they recognize with their observation in world and see with their eyes, with their neuropsychology. They learn from a book they bought to wait for a woman to speak a certain amount of words and then respond. For a man and a man, a woman and a woman, to wait for silence to detonate a bomb they made. In the name and the title of Antifa and letters in an alphabet after A, before M, and before N. Now, the hardest part about doing 10 years of neuroscience research to solve mentoring with homeless and at-risk youth has to do with those who want to control and restrict and limit and especially dominate, to subdue, submit, and reduce a sound they hear and a body they see behaving incorrectly in a civilization they have power to modify and change whenever their magic and mystery decide for them to operate in a city now.